neighbours, Mrs. Watson, came round to ours in a distressed state the other day. She had apparently been involved in a traffic accident and had been drunk. I told her that it was handy, as if she had been sober it would have been a truly traumatic experience. I was about to give her a piece of my mind for drink driving when she urged me to be sympathetic. So I told her I understood that she had to drink, as she had the ankles and posterior of a rhinoceros. A remark I withdrew at the suggestion of Mrs. Roll. Well, if you call being beaten round the head with a frying pan a suggestion, it's easy to be angry at those who drink, but I have to admit to enjoying a drink myself. I can be found in the Dog and Duck enjoying the occasional port and lemon. But I have no time for the morons who drink to excess, especially those that don't know their limits and leave a mess. There is nothing more annoying on a Saturday morning than walking down the high street dodging the minefield of vomit puddles and discarded food. One morning I was even unfortunate enough to happen across a semi-conscious woman with her underwear round her ankles. At first I feared she had been the victim of a sex crime. That was until I realised that she had merely passed out while urinating. What a group of choice friends she must have had to leave her, as it was 9:30 in the morning and she was clearly dressed for the evening before. I was about to look around to see if there were any other discarded young people littering up the place. That was until a member of the local constabulary turned up and offered the girl a lift home, but she was still too drunk to remember where she lived. But you have to get angry at some people, as some get so inebriated that they behave in the most appalling way. I was out walking my dog one night outside the churchyard. As I looked across, I saw a young man swaying and urinating on a gravestone. I asked the fellow what the blaze he thought he was doing. His response was to ask what it looked like in a drunken slur. I asked if he thought that was the place to be doing that. His response was that if they didn't want him peeing on the grave, they should have put a toilet there. I'm sure when the Charleston Smiths laid dear old Wolf to rest, they should have considered the needs of drunken louts. How inconsiderate of them not to provide a convenience in the place where he was interred. I'm sure during their grief they could have been accommodating enough to provide snacks and refreshments to those relieving themselves. Perhaps they should have even persuaded the local restroom attendant to abandon his night spot and head down to the graveyard. All of which the reprobate felt he was entitled to while desecrating the grave. He demonstrated this by extinguishing his cigarette in a puddle of urine he'd left, then staggering off without showing remorse. This hoodlum was lucky. In my younger days I would have given him a jolly good thrashing. I only hoped he ran into that other friend of humanity when drunk. The knuckle-dragging moron I also hate that throws his fist at anything moving. It's easy to enjoy a drink without getting behind the wheel, putting oneself at risk, or being completely disrespectful. If you find yourself drunk and vomiting in the street, you clearly have had more than you ought to. And I'm confident that any tavern or bar you got yourself drunk in has facilities, so you can use these instead of the street or a cemetery. And many are able to enjoy a drink without succumbing to the urge to beat the living daylight out of anyone for any reason. So if you want to have a good time with alcohol, don't make it unpleasant for others. Or in other words, stop being a complete